Hello, world. Welcome to another episode of Inside the Future.
Hey there. It's great to be back.
So I want you to think about something. For, well, basically all of human history, a photograph or a recorded voice was absolute proof. Seeing was believing.
Right. It was the ultimate evidence.
Exactly. If you saw it with your own eyes or, heard it with your own ears, that was the end of the debate.
Mm-hmm.
But today, in 2026, relying on your own eyes and ears has become, honestly, downright dangerous.
Yeah, it really has. I mean, we have crossed this threshold where our own human biology is actively being used against us.
Wow. Okay. That is a heavy statement right out of the gate.
Well, it's true. We are biologically wired to trust our sensory input, right? But the digital tools we interact with every single day can now fabricate that sensory input with near perfect fidelity.
Which brings us to the mission of our deep dive today. We're going to unpack a really critical source document titled Inside the Future. Can you still believe what you see?
And we really want to serve as your guides through this because, look, we aren't just talking about deepfakes as some neat party trick anymore.
Right, or like a funny filter on social media.
Exactly. We're looking at how AI-powered scams are fundamentally breaking global digital trust.
So our goal with this deep dive is to sort of filter out all the noise and deliver the essential insights you need. Because honestly, the fallout from this technology is already reaching into your workplace, your family, and your bank account.
Yeah, the conversation has completely shifted. I mean, 3 years ago, the focus was mostly on, whether AI could even create a convincing fake.
Right, like counting the fingers on an AI-generated hand.
Exactly. But today the focus is on the financial and structural reality of a world where fakes are deployed at an industrial scale.
Let's start right there, actually, with the sheer economics of deception. Because we know AI can generate this media, but the explosion in cybercrime isn't just about the technology existing, is it?
No, not at all. It's entirely about the return on investment for the criminals using it.
Right. And looking at the Interpol 2026 Global Financial Fraud Threat Assessment, the data is just completely alarming. They found that AI-enhanced fraud is now up to 4.5 times more profitable than traditional methods.
Up to 4.5 times, yeah. And to understand that massive leap in profitability, you really have to look at the mechanics of traditional fraud versus AI fraud.
Okay, walk us through that.
So historically, a scam was a highly manual, labor-intensive process, right? A human actor had to sit there and draft an email, navigate language barriers, and, manually engage with victims.
So I'm trying to trick one person at a time.
Exactly. It was the digital equivalent of cold calling. But AI removes all of that friction. It automates the entire life cycle of the deception.
So it's translating the scams flawlessly into, like, any language in real time.
Flawlessly and with actual cultural nuance. It generates fake identities, complete with deep backstories and social media footprints in milliseconds.
And it clones voices instantly.
Right. So instead of a criminal network employing a whole room full of people to target 50 victims, a single bad actor can use AI automation to launch thousands of highly personalized, convincing attacks simultaneously.
It's like a burglar who, instead of spending hours learning to pick a complex lock,
which would be the equivalent of, coding malware.
Right, or hacking a corporate firewall. Instead of doing all that, they simply put on a hyper-realistic, high-tech mask of your spouse.
Yeah.
Just ask you to open the front door.
That analogy perfectly isolates the shift in tactics here. Breaching a firewall takes immense technical skill and a lot of time.
But asking the person who already holds the keys to just, hand them over.
It is infinitely easier, provided you can convince them you are someone they already trust. And this massive shift is reflected in the World Economic Forum's Global Cybersecurity Outlook for 2026.
Oh, right. That report was eye-opening.
Yeah. They found that 73% of respondents were affected by cyber-enabled fraud in 2025 alone.
That is nearly 3 out of every 4 people. It's wild.
It is. And that same WEF report highlights that 87% of respondents now view AI vulnerabilities as the fastest-growing cyber risk.
It's actually overtaken ransomware as the leading concern among CEOs globally, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. Because ransomware relies on technical vulnerabilities, which you can patch. AI fraud relies on human vulnerabilities, which are, much harder to patch.
That makes a lot of sense. And if the burglar mask trick works on the front door of your house, it makes complete sense that it's being used to breach the ultimate front door of corporate security, the boardroom.
Oh, absolutely. We have moved way, way past the era of the spoofed email address. We are dealing with fabricated reality in real time now.
Let's talk about that May 2026 warning from the Singapore police force.
Yeah, they had to issue a specific warning about scammers creating fully fabricated Zoom meetings to target business professionals.
And these were not low-effort attempts either.
Not at all. The scammers utilized deepfake AI to insert highly recognizable government officials into these live video calls.
The audacity of that is just staggering to me.
Yeah.
They weren't just faking mid-level managers. They were fabricating live video of Singapore's president, Tharman Shanmugaratnam.
Right, and Prime Minister Lawrence Wong, plus representatives from the Monetary Authority.
Like, how does that even work in practice?
Well, the targeting was highly calculated. They deliberately went after business professionals who had prior dealings with government officials. The scammers really understood that context creates credibility.
Right, so if you're already accustomed to seeing a certain government minister and you log into a professional video conference and see them sitting there
speaking directly to you, your baseline suspicion is going to be incredibly low.
Yeah, the theoretical threat is terrifying. But we already have cases where this has resulted in catastrophic financial losses.
We do.
Like that 2025 case linked to Singapore. An employee joins a video conference, and they see their own CEO on the screen, along with other familiar colleagues.
All of them deepfakes.
All of them. The CEO gives instructions to initiate a transfer, and the employee sends over $499,000 US. $500,000 just evaporates because of a live video stream.
It's devastating, and the sophistication of that specific attack highlights the core problem. The employee wasn't just watching a pre-recorded video on a loop.
No, they were in a live, interactive environment.
Exactly. The deepfake CEO was rendered in real time. It was matching the communication style, the cadence, and the facial expressions of the actual executive.
So I want to pose a question to you, the listener, right now. Just put yourself in that employee's shoes for a second.
It's a tough spot to be in.
It is. If you are sitting at your desk, looking directly at your boss's face on video, hearing their exact voice, and surrounded by other familiar colleagues who also seem to be, nodding along, why wouldn't you authorize that payment?
The scary truth is most people would authorize it without a second thought. And that really exposes the obsolescence of our entire corporate security infrastructure.
Because all our training is based on old paradigms.
Right. For the last 20 years, employee security training has been built on a very specific set of rules. We train people to check the sender's email address for slight variations, right?
Yeah, look out for the 0 instead of the letter O.
Exactly. We train them to look for typos, weird grammar, or suspicious links.
But those rules are totally useless when the phishing attack isn't an email.
The old rules are completely broken. When the attack vector is a perfectly rendered real-time video of your supervisor looking you in the eye and asking for a wire transfer, checking for typos doesn't apply.
Have it all.
The weakest link in the security chain is no longer the firewall, the antivirus, or the network architecture. The weakest link is human trust. And AI has figured out exactly how to hack it.
So if exploiting trust is that lucrative in the corporate world, the criminals obviously aren't going to stop at the office door.
No, definitely not.
They're applying these exact same mechanisms to our personal lives, where, honestly, the emotional stakes make us even more vulnerable.
That's a crucial point. The corporate attacks are financially motivated, but they still have to pass a certain level of professional scrutiny.
Right, there are protocols.
But personal attacks bypass professional scrutiny by triggering primal emotional responses. The technology required for voice cloning has reached a point where scammers only need a few seconds of clean audio.
Just a few seconds. So a short video posted on a public social media profile is entirely sufficient, isn't it?
It is. It's enough to capture the unique phonemes and cadence of someone's voice. And once they have that model, they can make that voice say literally anything.
And the deployment strategy is just vicious.
It's designed for maximum psychological impact. A victim receives a call late at night. They answer and they hear their daughter crying or their spouse sounding panicked.
Claiming they've been in a severe accident or are being held somewhere.
Right, and they need money transferred immediately.
But, okay, let me push back a bit here. Wouldn't we notice the digital seams? Like, even in a panic, wouldn't a parent hear a slight robotic modulation or notice that the breathing patterns don't sound quite right?
It's a fair question, but relying on our ability to spot the seams is a losing strategy against exponential technological improvement.
Because the tech just keeps getting better.
Exactly. And more importantly, it completely misunderstands the biology of the attack. When a parent hears their child screaming for help, the brain does not perform a calm forensic audio analysis.
Right, you're not sitting there analyzing frequencies.
No. The amygdala triggers an immediate, overwhelming fear response. This biological override just totally bypasses the prefrontal cortex, the logical, analytical part of the brain.
Wow.
So the scammer isn't just relying on good audio software. They are literally weaponizing the victim's own adrenaline to cover up any digital imperfections.
It is literally hacking human empathy. That's terrifying. And it extends beyond our immediate family, too, to exploit the parasocial relationships we have with public figures.
Oh, the investment scams.
Yes. There is an absolute epidemic of investment scams leveraging this exact same cognitive shortcut.
The scale of these investment scams is massive. I mean, just looking at the date of the source document, August 17th, 2026, Australia's securities regulator issued a severe warning about this.
Scammers using AI impersonations of prominent politicians to push fraudulent financial products.
Right. And the most heavily impersonated figure in these attacks is Prime Minister Anthony Albanese.
And the financial impact is just staggering. I read that Australians have reported 7.4 million Australian dollars in losses tied specifically to scams featuring just the top 10 most impersonated public figures.
And we are seeing this globally. It's not just Australia. The Bank of Italy recently issued their own warning about entirely fabricated articles and videos showing their governor, Fabio Panetta,
Endorsing various investment schemes.
Exactly. And the visual and audio components were entirely synthetic.
This circles back to my previous question, though, about spotting the fake. Why are people falling for an investment pitch from a central bank governor on a random website?
It's a good point.
Because even if the video looks good, the context is absurd. Why would a central bank governor be pitching crypto or real estate on Facebook?
It comes down to another biological shortcut. The human brain naturally associates a familiar face with credibility and authority. So when a victim sees a prime minister or a central bank governor appearing to explain an investment, their brain unconsciously registers familiarity. And that familiarity short-circuits the critical evaluation of the context.
So the scammer doesn't have to build trust from scratch.
Precisely. They simply hijack the trust the public figure has already established over decades. And the craziest part is, the celebrity or politician has no idea they're acting as the ultimate salesperson for a fraud ring.
When we pull back and look at this holistically, fake CEOs authorizing transfers, fake family members begging for ransom, fake politicians hawking investments, we hit a much darker systemic consequence.
The broader impact on society.
Yeah. We're looking at the death of digital evidence, what actually happens to the concept of truth when seeing is no longer believing.
We are fundamentally altering how society establishes facts. For a century, photographic or video evidence was the ultimate arbiter of truth. In journalism, in courtrooms, in public discourse.
And now
We are entering an era where the immediate default reaction to any shocking piece of media is that AI?
which on the surface sounds like a necessary adaptation.
Yeah.
We need to be skeptical.
Skepticism is necessary, absolutely.
Right.
But it introduces a secondary, deeply corrosive threat known as the broader credibility problem, or the liar's dividend.
The liar's dividend.
Right. When synthetic media becomes ubiquitous and indistinguishable from reality, genuine media can be easily and credibly dismissed as fake.
Ah, I see. It's like a reverse boy who cried wolf scenario.
Exactly.
The danger isn't just that we believe the fake wolf is real. The real danger is that we eventually stop believing that any real wolves exist at all, even when they're standing right in front of us.
Think about the implications for accountability.
Yeah.
Say a corrupt politician is caught on tape discussing a bribe, or a CEO is recorded making disparaging remarks.
Or a criminal act is captured on a security camera.
5 years ago, that evidence was fatal to a career or a legal defense. Today, the accused can simply state, "That is not me. That is a malicious AI deepfake."
And because the public is acutely aware that highly convincing deepfakes exist, that defense automatically introduces reasonable doubt.
Yes, it fractures our shared baseline of reality.
So if we can no longer trust the pixels on the screen or the audio frequencies coming out of the speaker, how does digital evidence even function moving forward?
It requires a complete architectural overhaul of how we capture and verify information. We can no longer evaluate a file based purely on what it appears to show.
So what's the alternative?
Digital evidence now mandates provenance.
Let's drill into that term. Provenance usually refers to, like, tracking the ownership history of a physical antique or a painting, right?
Yeah.
How does that apply to a digital video?
In the digital realm, provenance means establishing a verifiable, unbroken chain of custody for a piece of media from the exact moment of its creation.
Okay, how do you do that?
It involves cryptographic hashing at the point of capture. So, when a camera sensor records an image, it immediately locks the metadata, location, time, device information into a secure, unalterable digital ledger.
Oh, I see.
If a single pixel is altered subsequently, the cryptographic signature breaks, flagging the file as manipulated.
So the verification isn't about looking at the video really closely to spot weird shadows or blurry ears. It's about checking the invisible mathematical receipt attached to the file.
Precisely. In the AI age, raw processing power or raw data is no longer the most valuable commodity. Verifiable trust is the premium currency.
That leads us to the practical reality of operating in this environment. If we accept that our senses are compromised in the digital space,
Right.
what are the actual solutions for, normal people?
How do we adapt?
Yeah. How do we adapt our daily behaviors to survive in a post-trust digital world?
Well, the core defensive strategy relies on layers of verification. A single point of sensory input, like recognizing a face on a screen or a voice on the phone, is totally insufficient now.
So in the corporate sector, what does that look like?
This means implementing secondary approval channels.
For example, if your boss requests a large wire transfer over a live video call, the new protocol dictates you cannot execute that transfer based solely on the video.
Exactly. You must verify the request through an independent, encrypted communication channel.
So you hang up the video call and you initiate a phone call to a known verified number.
Or you require cryptographic digital credentials to authenticate the identity of the person in the meeting. Platforms themselves will eventually be forced to integrate these provenance systems.
Embedding invisible digital watermarks into AI-generated content to flag it at the platform level.
Yes, but the recommendations for our personal lives require a similarly aggressive behavioral shift. The suggested mantra across the board is verify before reacting.
Verify before reacting, which sounds easy, but it requires fighting our own instincts.
It really does. Families are now being advised to establish physical safe words. So if you receive a panicked call from a loved one claiming to be in trouble, you demand the safe word.
I have to challenge the practicality of that, though.
So go ahead.
Is it actually realistic to expect a terrified parent who truly believes they are listening to their child screaming to calmly ask for a password? I mean, the adrenaline alone makes that incredibly difficult.
It is incredibly difficult, which is exactly why the scammers utilize the tactic. It forces the victim to actively suppress their evolutionary drive to protect their family.
It's just brutal.
It is, but it is the only reliable defense. The Singapore police explicitly advise the public to never transfer funds to anyone whose identity has not been independently verified through a secondary channel.
Regardless of how convincing the video or audio appears.
Exactly. If your spouse calls from an unknown number asking for money, you hang up and you call their actual device.
You know, there is a massive technological paradox sitting at the center of this entire crisis.
Oh, for sure.
The disease and the cure are the exact same technology. AI is the tool breaking down global trust, but AI is also the only tool fast enough and capable enough to rebuild it.
It is a perpetual technological arms race. Traditional cybersecurity simply cannot detect synthetic media at scale.
So what's being done?
Tech companies and law enforcement are developing sophisticated AI algorithms designed specifically to hunt other AI.
Oh, wow. Fighting fire with fire.
Exactly. They analyze the invisible digital artifacts, the microscopic inconsistencies in rendering, or the unnatural behavioral patterns in financial transactions that the human eye and traditional software completely miss.
And Interpol's Innovation Center in Singapore is deeply involved in this, right?
They are. They're developing specialized AI tools to detect synthetic media and counter these networks globally.
But it raises the question of longevity for me. How long can a cat-and-mouse game like this actually last?
That's the million-dollar question.
Because when detection AI gets better, doesn't it just provide a better training mechanism for the generation AI to learn what mistakes to avoid?
That is the nature of an arms race. It is a continuous loop of escalation. The generation algorithms will adapt to bypass the detection algorithms, forcing the detection algorithms to evolve again.
It never ends.
This cycle will likely continue indefinitely. The key takeaway isn't that we will eventually solve the deepfake problem and return to the way things were.
Right. The technology isn't going back in the box.
It isn't. Living in the future requires accepting that the fundamental rules of digital reality have permanently changed, and we have to adapt our societal and personal protocols to match that new environment.
Well, this leaves me with a final provocative thought for you to consider, listener, based on where all of this source material is pointing.
I'm curious.
If we project this out, if every single digital interaction, a quick video check-in with a colleague, voice memo from a friend, a news photograph eventually requires a complex layer of cryptographic watermarking and secondary verification just to prove it actually happened,
Right.
will we eventually reach a point of exhaustion? Will we just stop trusting screens altogether? Could the ultimate unintended result of the AI age be that we are forced to completely devalue digital communication, returning to physical, face-to-face interactions as the absolute only source of truth we can rely on?
It is a really compelling trajectory. As the digital environment becomes inherently saturated with untrustworthy noise, the premium on physical presence and analog reality skyrockets.
Definitely something to ponder the next time you find yourself joining a sudden, urgent video call. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for more interesting episodes of Inside the Future.